I know Apple is a subject you're really passionate about, and last time you were on my show, you talked about how Apple is innovating in the wrong way. Yeah. Specifically, I think you said everything really sucks. iOS 7, what do you think?
So we'll have to see how customers react. But in my mind, I think Apple is caught in a classic innovator's dilemma. They're doing the same things now that they were doing 5 years ago. And the difference was 5 years ago they were creating the smartphone market as we know it today. And now they have their product has been so successful, customers need them to do something different.
So they're captive to the success of the iPhone?
Well, they still think that they need to be hunters of the next hot product. And for me, and I think most people who use iOS is so pervasive. It's like electricity in your house, right? It's a utility. And what I need them to do is to make the utility do more things. I don't need them to make a new interface for iTunes or for any of the other apps. And I don't really need them to...
Do you need a watch or a TV?
Well, I don't know. Maybe somebody does. I don't happen to. But that's not what I'm worried about. I'm fine with them doing new hardware. But relative to the OS, I think it's really about iCloud now. It's about putting context into everything you do so that instead of me having to ask for driving directions, for me having to ask for traffic, me having to look up Wikipedias on the people I'm going to see, that what Apple should be doing is taking my calendar each night, populating it with all the information I need for the next day and updating in real time as I get to each new thing.
I would like that too.
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Yeah, that would make my life a lot easier.
And the way their operating system is architected, it's easy to do that. For Android, they can do it, but you have to be all Google for it to work there. And
so if you could say one thing to Tim Cook or Johnny Ive, what would you say?
Well, I'd say to Tim Cook, look at the lesson of the Chicago Bulls after Michael Jordan left. You need a different kind of team. So I would only say this to Tim Cook, because I do think that the challenge they have is they have the greatest hunters in history. And now they need farmers.
So who are farmers?
Tim Cook's a farmer.
Okay.
Farmers are people who are very focused on delivering perfection through a process. They're not people looking for the glitzy, great new product. And I really think Apple can produce great hardware without the same Steve Jobs mentality that they have. But they have to be thinking about a much more customer-focused approach to it, which is what isn't happening. And the answer is automation isn't happening. You know where I am. You know what time it is. You have my calendar. Automate my life for me.
So, you know, as I understand it, you think that Apple should be better integrating not just phones and watches and TVs, but houses and cars.
Well, no, I'm actually just saying take the stuff out of my calendar and go and grab all the free stuff on the internet that I would have to go and get myself and just do it for me automatically.
But isn't it to a certain extent about the Internet of Things? To make things more
maybe
connected?
Someday. I just like to start with the Internet of Me. Okay, which is help me automate my life. Right now, I have to direct everything I do on the internet. That's ridiculous. In iOS, that's no longer necessary. And, you know, in Android, they'll be able to get there eventually. But right now, because they don't control the other operating system in your life, you know, whether it's the Mac OS or Windows, Google doesn't have the ability to get your personal information in quite the same way.
But Android's operating system, and Business Week just did a story about this, is in a lot of things that you might not expect. Refrigerators, exercise machines, set-top boxes, you know, music players. Does that give Android or Google an edge?
Well, it gives them a different opportunity. See, what Google has done, which is both very cynical and incredibly clever, is that they've worked to commoditize absolutely everything about that operating system so that it does go into everything. The good news from that is, obviously, if you want an operating system, you can get that one for free. The bad news is that there's nobody watching the store to make sure that you have a consistent, great user experience. So it operates at a pretty low level. And as a result, like Windows, we're going to be stuck for a long time with the stuff we have now. And we may get fancier hardware, but the experience isn't going to change much.